Hey guys, welcome to the El Paso Actor Panel. My name is Carlos Corral. I'm the artistic director for the El Paso Film Festival. And thank you for tuning in with us on this beautiful Saturday morning. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe and healthy at home. I want to go ahead and introduce our panel. I'll start with, let's see, who do we have here? We got Denise, Jessica, Manny, and Robert Holguin joining us again. Hello, sir.
Hello, Carlos. Head nod. This is my professional head nod, acknowledging my announcement. How are you guys? Good morning.
Good
Excited
morning.
to be with everyone today.
Yeah,
Likewise.
Yeah, so I've assembled this cast of wonderful Avengers here to be kind of a guide to El Paso filmmakers. As you know, especially right now, some film and TV shows are starting back up again, but also a lot of people have always wondered, should I move out to LA? Should I, uh, put myself out there to, for film and television? So I'm hoping you guys can uh, kind of be their guide and see what kind of advice you can offer for everyone. And I know that like the body of work that all of you guys have put together is nothing short of amazing. So Denise, why don't we start with you? Introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go around the room to Jessica and then to Manny.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Denise Dorado. I was born in El Paso, Texas. I was born and raised there, mostly on the east side. I've lived in Los Angeles for the last 10 years or so. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, and if you guys don't know, Denise actually does have a feature film in this year's festival. It's called Amalia. So if you're curious to see what her acting is like, check out the movie. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is great. It's a great movie.
Jessica, how about you?
I can't wait to see it. My name is Jessica Meraz. I was also born and raised in El Paso, Coronado High School, go T-Birds. And I live in Los Angeles as well, in Santa Monica.
And if you guys have not seen Jessica Meraz, she's had plenty of great things on her portfolio, which includes Supergirl, and my favorite, of course, is
Carlos,
Drunken.
it's Meraz. Give me a
Meraz,
little
sorry,
flavor.
Meraz. Okay, sorry, Jessica
It's El Paso
Meraz.
Film Festival. This isn't Meraz around here. Okay?
Oh, see, this is why we had that practice session. I should have asked everyone, how do I pronounce your name correctly? Okay, Meraz. No, but hey, actually, what I was saying was one of my favorites, of course, is I may ask you this later. You're gonna have to tell me the secrets of drunken history and what exactly you were drinking.
Classic episode.
Great stories
Classic.
from drunk history.
Love that.
And of course, we have the wonderful Manny Rubio, who I have known for almost 13 years now. It's been a long time, man. You were in my feature film Hands of God back in 2008, and you've just been killing it, man. You've been on Prison Break. My wife and I were so happy when we saw you on Succession. We were like, "Oh my God, that's Manny! He's right there on the couch."
Awesome.
And I'm super honored to call you a friend, man. And it's really been 13 years. Goodness, wow.
It's been a while, man.
Yeah. Manny, I just saw you in a trailer. I just saw a trailer for a comedy, and I saw you in it. It's I forget the name of the comedy, but I'm sure you know it's coming out soon, right? It's
Half Brothers comes out October 4th. Yeah, man. Yeah, I was really happy with the trailer, and I was even happier that I came out in it. I had no idea until my phone started blowing up in the morning. But
yeah.
But anyway, I'm Manny Rubio, and I'm out of El Paso, Texas, and yeah, I'm good to be here with friends and new friends.
And of course, we also have Robert Holguin, K Fox 14, also a great filmmaker, and one whose film Neighbor of the Year is currently available on our Roku, Apple, and Fire TV apps for El Paso Film Festival, which actually stars Manny and Jessica. So, Robert, go ahead and kick it off here and kind of tell us a little bit about what it was like working with both Manny and Jessica. Because I know you guys also did the film like right as the stay-at-home orders started. But I'm glad you guys were able to still get a movie out right away so that we were able to enjoy it. Because one thing I really did like about Neighbor of the Year is that it kind of feels like how I feel right now. You're starting to make up your own friends. Or are you? Are they your real friends?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right. Yeah, listen, first and foremost, I was really, really fortunate that in my friends, Jessica and Manny, they agreed to be part of this because it was just a really quick idea. And yeah, we were definitely ahead of the curve before things got hot in terms of the pandemic. And we took all the precautions. And then it was just a very small, tiny production in one tiny location. But yeah, first and foremost, it was kind of projecting out what things might look like down the road. And some of those things were realized. I'm really, honored that the short gets to be featured as part of the festival. I never, even considered that. But again, first and foremost, thanks to Manny and Jessica. They're amazingly talented and they did an amazing job and they elevate the work as all good actors do. But yeah, I mean, I think that what's interesting to me is just how quickly these two, and I'm sure Denise is the same kid, how quickly they can get into the character, how quickly they can deliver a solid performance, even under pretty trying circumstances. So maybe the first question I'd like to ask, Carlos, of all the participants here is, when we think of acting, we think of it as a reflection of something that's inside of us. But I'd love to know from each of you, what is it about acting that spoke to you? What is it about acting that brought you to this point you're at now? And Denise, maybe we'll start with you since I know you, I don't know you very well. I've met you a couple of times, but let me know. I'm so impressed by your performance at Amalia.
Thank you. Gosh, that's a really great question. What is it about acting? It's almost, I'm interested in storytelling. I fell in love with photography and filmmaking first as a kid growing up. I didn't know how to quite maneuver the politics in our theater program in high school, so I didn't really get into it too much, which was interesting. But anyway, I always sort of maintained this fascination and this interest in performance, and now that I've been at it for a few years, I feel like I've always sort of been interested in the embodiment of storytelling. How do you tell a story with your body? How do you tell it with your voice? How do you tell it with your face? I feel like to me it's a spiritual journey. I never know what's going to happen when I embody a character. I mean, I can plan for it, and I can study and I can do my homework, but I guess it's almost, it's like being like a psychological astronaut in some ways. Like, what is it like to be this person under these circumstances in this relationship at this point in their lives? What are they struggling with inside? What are they trying to overcome? What demons are they facing? All of those questions are questions that we all face, right? And I face in my own life. And somehow I feel the desire to undertake that journey for someone else. That's also a part of me. I mean, every character we play, I'm sure Jessica and Manny would attest to this, but they're all a part of us in some way. They kind of have to be. Like, it's hard to really come up with a character out of thin air. It has to be attached to some truth that's inside of you. So I feel the desire to go on that journey for some reason. I can't explain why, but that's what it is for me.
I love that psychological astronaut. That's amazing. I've never heard her put that way. That's fantastic.
I literally have never said that before. So.
Really? Well, you nailed it, I think. That's wonderful. Jessica, we'll go to you.
Yeah, that was so beautifully said. Wow. I wish my inspiration was that well thought out. I think mine stems from playing pretend. I loved playing pretend when I was younger, and my poor cousins and siblings, it was these intricate plays that we constantly put on at home, and everyone was so involved, my parents too. And I'm just so lucky that I'm still getting to play pretend. It's really what just, whether it was me as a little girl pretending to be a princess or a waitress on roller skates, which was a family favorite. It's just that again, it's just something that always lit me up inside and made me it was that sense of play, and what would my life be like if I were that person, or if I had that issue, or if I was in this place, and that's really just, it's just play for me.
Manny?
Well, I'm gonna pretty much touch on what Denise and Jessica said, and that's just I found out so much about myself. I found out so much about others, history, the world. Always trying to find out what makes people tick, why they doing something. Finding the humanity in a so-called like bad guy or what have you. Just and of course the play part. That's always been fun. I was a little kid that my family was always throwing out when I was a kid to imitate Michael Jackson or to dance or to do this, and it felt good to be alive and to just be someone else for a bit. And as you get a little older, you start finding out, oh wow, like not only do you find out about yourself, I started in theater, so you're just out there, just throwing yourself in front of these people, and the show goes on no matter what. And there's all the fear and all the, you find out, oh wow, I can actually do this, and that felt really good to just explore and do that work and have it come to fruition with the performance at the end of it. And yeah, just playing and finding out about myself and others. That's probably why I do it the most, man. It's feels most so good between action and cut. It's like you're in this other world. It's like this hyper focus, and then you're cut, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Oh my goodness! It's like, whoa, that was a blast. Whoa, or
Wow.
that didn't work, and you're like, damn. But still, that feels good though, because then it's like back to the drawing board, and
Wow, those are all great answers, and they all kind of, and Manny, you brought everyone together. You go from like the psychological pursuit, the depths that you plumb that Denise is talking about, the exploration of just being creative, and the pretend world that Jessica was talking about, and it all gets melded together in the acting process. Those were great answers from all of you. Carlos, do you have any thoughts on what brings these characters to life and how these very special people are able to make a human and a complex backstory come to life with even just a few lines? I find that's what always just fascinates me. And I'm sure when you're behind the camera and you see it in your work, it's always just something else it's so inspiring to see when an actor is just nailing it.
Yeah, and it also just depends too on the project. And actually, it's something I've actually been curious about, and I want to ask all three of you. So you've all had dramatic roles, which I've seen. They've been great. Uh, but I believe you've also had a lot of comedic roles. So I've always heard the phrase, or it should say, "Dying is easy, comedy is hard." So drama is easy, but comedy is hard. So um, kind of tell me a little bit about that. I'm curious, Jessica, especially you, because you've done Drunken History with Comedy Central. How was that, compared to any of the other dramatic roles? And Manny, same thing to you. You've done a lot of great dramatic roles, but I've always seen you in these great comedies. It's always amazing to watch what you do. And then Denise, and I know I've seen Amalia, and I know you have other work. As intense as you are in that movie, I know you've actually done comedy as well. So I'm actually curious about how you can balance that between your comedy work, but also your dramatic work, and still be able to connect with the audience. Who wants to go first?
Well, Drunk History wasn't acting, I should say. That was was what it was. It's trying to tell a story drunk. So, and yes, I was really drunk. I had 2 bottles of champagne that day over the course of like 10 hours, but I had a solid buzz going on. But so yeah, I mean, that was very different from comedic acting, which I do mainly do. All I can say about Drunk History is it was trying to try to tell that historical moment in time as we progressively got drunk. So, but as far as, I guess the question is, how can we do comedy and drama? Is that the question?
Yeah, and do you enjoy one over the other? Do you prefer dramatic roles over comedic roles? Because yeah, people have always told me, especially actors, that comedy is always just a little bit harder than drama.
Well, I thought I was going to be a really serious dramatic actress, and then it wasn't until I started doing stuff that people were like, "Oh my God, you were so funny," and I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. You
Or
are though, Jessica. You're hilarious. I mean, you've got a real that charm just comes across. And I mean, you're beyond drunk history, as you said. That wasn't performance, but I've seen you in so many the Funny or Die bit that you did with. I mean, then you worked with Ben Schwartz. You've done so many funny things.
Thanks. It was a surprise. I have to say it was a surprise. I didn't know that I was going to do comedy. And it's funny, like I did Major Crimes where I played a detective and the role was a dramatic role. And I thought it was very convincing. And then people commenting to me, like, oh, oh my God, your role is so quirky and she's so funny. And I'm like, what? I was such a serious detective. Didn't you get it? So I think a lot of it might be inherent, and maybe you're a goofy person. I don't know.
I guess I'll go.
Yeah, Denise, jump in there.
I'm not great at comedy, I don't think. I took a class at Groundlings. I don't know if Manny or Jessica, if you guys have ever been to Groundlings. Jessica, you probably killed Groundlings. I don't know how far you got, but I couldn't get past the first level. It was just really, I just found it really, really difficult for me. It's just, at least the rules that Groundlings have. I don't know if you're familiar at all, Carlos, with how they structure. So basically they teach you, you have to understand instantly, it's improv, right? You get up on stage, two people don't know each other. You have to understand, the audience has to understand instantly, who are these people? What's going on? What are they doing? And it's very quick and it's very intuitive. And I feel like you really, really have to have a passion for it. And I just like, my brain just doesn't work that fast. I don't know. But I would love, I don't know. I mean, I make my boyfriend laugh. I think I'm funny, like in real life sometimes, but I'm definitely interested in doing dark comedy, and I love, some of my favorite movies are dark comedies. So I would like to explore that.
Oh, I'm sure you will one day, so don't worry. Manny, how about you?
Ironically, I prefer comedy, but 9 out of 10 auditions are usually drama. So the comedy I have had a chance to do is because of friends. Because of friends are like, "Hey, I have this project, come on board," or what have you. But I wish I wish I had more opportunities for comedy for sure. Yeah, it's you said something, Jessica, about it being inherent. And I guess I guess I've always been kind of like a silly, goofy, like to laugh person. So yeah, I guess I want to say it comes naturally, but it comes easier than drama for me. I definitely have to work harder at drama. Hmm.
Well, what I find interesting is how much harder it is to actually like have a successful comedic bit, or a comedic part or a comedic role, or even a movie. I think drama, I really do believe drama is probably an easier thing to write, but to be funny and to pull that off with timing and all that, I think that's so much more difficult, in my opinion, in my limited opinion.
I think so too. I was watching Borat last night, and it's just so genius and hilarious. And I'm just like, how do they come up with these scenarios? Like, how do you write this? How does he, and he's probably doing a lot of things on the spot. And it requires some special genes that,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Jessica,
no, go ahead.
Jessica, you work with fabulous improvisers, Ben Schwartz among them. And I'm drawing a blank right now with his co-host, Lauren Lapkus, who is an amazing improviser. So what was that like on set to see them? I mean, their improv skills are insane.
Ben Schwartz and Lauren Lapkus, they're absolute comedic geniuses and some of the best improvers of right now, in my opinion, and probably everyone's opinion. Yeah, they're incredible. It's pretty amazing to watch their brains work, and you just see how smart and quick they are. But the specific, I guess it was a web series that you're talking about. What was it called? The Early Show.
The early
The
show, yeah.
That there is. I might have it somewhere. I wonder if I can share it with you guys. I'll try to. Bloopers. There's this whole 5 minutes of just all the times that we broke character, and it was so hilarious, the things that they came up with. And Ben Schwartz has something on Netflix right now too, I think, also with Tom, where they have
Middleditch. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, with Tom Middleditch, where they have these long form improvs, and you watch them create these long form improvs live on a stage, and someone from the audience gives them something at like a UCB or which is different from Groundlings, Denise, which is what I did, was UCB.
Oh, I see.
And you just watch these geniuses work. They're I highly recommend people interested in improv watch this. I think it's on Amazon, maybe Netflix.
I think it's Netflix. It's Middleditch and Schwartz, right? It's what you're talking about.
Do you watch it, Robert? Is it not incredible to watch it?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And the show that Jessica is referencing, the show that she was on, it was a web series. It's called The Earliest Show.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Lauren Lapkus and Ben Schwartz, and Jessica's in it. And what you're talking about, they did an hour-long blooper reel, and that's on YouTube as well. The blooper reel is almost as good as the series, and it's an hour long. It's so amazing. But it's really cool. It's really cool to see you in that. We'll get the conversation going, because Manny, you mentioned auditions. So let's get into that. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. I'm sure a lot of people want to know what the audition process is like, and we have an interesting mix of performers here, of working professionals. Jessica, Denise, you're in Los Angeles, obviously the hub of production. Manny, you've made it work, kind of working on the outskirts here. You're based in El Paso, but you travel quite a bit. I know that Netflix does a lot of work in Albuquerque. Why don't we begin with you, Manny? Give us a sense of what it's like to be a working actor in this region, and then we'll talk to Jessica and Denise about the move to Los Angeles. Manny, talk to us about what it's like to be based here, the audition process, and if you think maybe your life would be easier if you did move to New York or LA.
Good question. Being that the nearest market to El Paso is New Mexico, right? Albuquerque being the main city. That's around 3.5 hours to 4 hours from here. So whenever I get an audition, it's pretty much you have to have the bag ready, and sometimes you get night before notice, day notice. Sometimes you're lucky to get a couple days notice, but yeah, I know every mile marker from here to Albuquerque to Santa Fe, every landmark, you just have to be willing to travel. I think about it, if I was in LA or New York, I'd be in traffic maybe, or I'd be, I don't know, on the subway and having to walk a little bit. Yeah, it's, I'm super, 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 super fortunate to still have been here in El Paso and do this. I know that if I went to LA or New York, I'd probably work more, maybe be up for bigger roles or what have you. But acting is one of those things. If the only one that can stop you from doing it is you. So, and then now with all the technology we have, I feel like you can pretty much be anywhere for the most part. But you can't beat LA and New York. I mean, that's just, even just saying it makes you feel good, makes you feel like an actor. But I've never had the pleasure of living there like Jessica and Denise. That's awesome. I've always admired that. Mm-hmm.
Denise, what about you? Denise, what made you make the move, Denise? I mean, you knew that this is something you needed to do to get out there to start getting work and being exposed to, the industry.
Yeah, well, I originally came out here for film school. And then eventually I went and I studied acting formally. I don't know. I've always Los Angeles is always a place I wanted to be, just because it's, it's a town of creatives, and, it's the center of the industry. The way I feel about it now is, obviously this is a very interesting time with COVID. I've always preferred self-tapes because going into a room is terrifying for me. I'm not sure I've quite mastered it. So I really do like making self-tapes. But so yeah, so now that we can actually go to a physical audition, I know a lot of people have I don't know if it's temporary, but moved out of LA and self-taping and submitting themselves that way. So so I don't know. I was talking to my manager about this last night, and he said that casting directors are still being a Los Angeles actor or a New York actor still says something about you to a casting director. There's still a story there. It's still it's still a selling point for casting directors. So he said he thinks it's still important. I'm not sure. I mean, he knows the industry pretty well, so I trust him. But who knows? I don't know how the industry is going to change. I don't know if everything is just going to be decentralized. Joe Rogan talks a lot about this, how you don't have to be in Los Angeles anymore. But I think more than anything, if there's an actor in El Paso, if there people in El Paso who are interested in becoming actors, I would say more than anything, make your own content, make your own films. There's no excuses anymore. You have all the resources in the world. You have YouTube. You have Carlos Corral in El Paso running the film festival. There's a community there now that wasn't there when I was growing up, and I didn't have any sort of mentors. No one could really answer my questions. I didn't really have people to collaborate with when I was growing up. It was just a lot harder to find. So that's what I would say about that. But I don't know if you have any other specific questions in terms of actual auditions or self-taping, but that's my overview. I'll give it.
Yeah, no, I think that's insightful. That's insightful. Jessica, how about you? Just walk us through your when you evaluate being in LA. Of course, in many respects it's a practical decision. In other respects, it's an awesome place to live. I loved the 10 years I lived in LA. But give me a sense of what it's like for you, the audition process and the decision to be there practically and socially and just enjoying life as well.
I have to say that question in March would have been completely different than that question right now. Before, if you would have asked me that before COVID, I would have said it's very important to be here. But right now, and from what I've heard from casting directors, is they don't see there being in-person casting sessions for at least another year. So I can be LA based, and I enjoyed being in El Paso for a month, a couple months ago, and I actually had Manny come over to my house, and we distanced ourselves, and he helped me put an audition on tape for The Resident, and we had a great time. And I mean, I've been really enjoying getting to do them from anywhere, and I think that's going to be such an advantage now that El Pasoans didn't have before, if they're able to put things on tape. And casting directors, I would highly recommend people follow on social media as many casting directors as they can. Go on my page, find all the casting directors that I follow all of them, because they will post castings and you can email them and they can give you sides and you can put them on tape from El Paso. I just put one on my page, on my story, so it's not there anymore, of a new comic series, 11 to 14-year-olds. They were looking for girls, and you just have to email this person and you can send these auditions. So I think that my opinion is, when the jobs come around, they are pretty quick turnarounds. So when these jobs do come in, I get these auditions, the job usually starts the next week or so. I love what Manny said about having your bag packed. this job has so many sacrifices that we've all made. I know that Denise and Manny can agree with me that you have to miss things, and you have to be ready at the drop of a hat to just leave. But what a huge, I mean, I'm sure everybody would do it with their whole hearts. You know, we make our lives around being able to do this. So again, I think that my answer right now would be very different than before. And I think I love living in LA, but not as much right now as I did 6 months ago. It is, you know, we're at home and we don't have as much space, and I don't have my family here. And it's, I'm sure it's the same way in El Paso right now, and it makes me really sad. It's right now we all have to do whatever to just give ourselves comfort and be happy and be safe.
Yeah, that might be a planet Earth thing at this point. But one thing we can do is log into the El Paso Film Festival through the Apple TV app or Roku and watch all these great movies safely and comfortably from your couch. Carlos, any follow-ups on that?
No. Well, first off, thank you for the plugs. I appreciate it. No, but yeah, I think it's interesting how Jessica, you mentioned that, you know, like Manny came over, did a taped one, and then Denise, you've done taped auditions as well. It's actually interesting. I have a friend, Manny, you know him, Oscar Avila. He actually called me yesterday and was like, "Hey, I need to do an audition tomorrow on tape. Like, can you come over and film it for me?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." But I'm still trying to work out like, okay, how safely can I do this with you? But yeah, he's been doing those kinds of auditions for a while for all sorts of shows. And it's great too, because you know he'll show me the sides and I'll like see like, oh, I know that show or I know this show. It's like, but I can't like, I'm like, don't, make sure I don't take those sides. I don't want to know what's going on in that season. But yeah, I think what you guys are saying is that I think it is good to have a foot in both cities. I remember traveling to LA back when I was you know, fresh out of film school. And the only reason really I stayed, the biggest reason I came back to El Paso really was just because I had produced my feature films here. And, you know, when I found somebody like Manny, it was kind of like, whoa, do I really need to go to LA? You know, it's like I have these very, very wonderful actors here. But then I get to meet you guys too, you know, Jessica and Denise, and you guys all have ties here. So to me, that just says, oh, well, if we were to do a movie here, they got a place to stay, so I'm not too worried. We can bring them back and they'll enjoy, you know, seeing their families again, but also working. So I see it as kind of a an advantage that you guys both have, you know, a foot here and a foot there. But you're right. I'm curious as to how things are going to change for actors, um, especially now. You know, I don't know if you guys, like most of the film industry, probably everyone stopped working in March, right? You know, no one has really done anything, but now things are starting to pick up. Are you at all concerned, you know, going back in, or do you feel like most of the productions you're going to be on have all taken safety precautions?
Well,
I wanted to add, oh, sorry. Well, I wanted to add something about being safe during self tapes, because I think that that's incredibly important right now. And Manny and I were really careful. And I did a self tape yesterday. I'm doing one today, completely alone in here. And what I do is I put, it takes a lot of planning, but I have a friend on Zoom just like this. I put them close to my setup and they read with me and I can still see them. And casting directors are really open and everyone knows we're all doing our best, and safety is number one. And you can absolutely do it safely through Zoom. You put the person right there where your eye line would be, then you have your phone in front. So you've got the Zoom right here, the phone right here, and you're able to have just as good of a self-tape. In fact, sometimes better, because you have so much more flexibility. So I just wanted to add that you can really have readers, and they have free readers available for you. There's services on Backstage and through Actors Access that give you free readers that you can do over Zoom. I think it's important.
And Denise, did you?
I was going to say, I was talking to Manny about this before during our practice run. you can, if you're living in El Paso and you're interested in auditioning for projects, you might want to try to get representation in smaller markets like Atlanta or Albuquerque. I think Austin or Dallas maybe has a market, and just be willing to be what's considered a local hire. I mean, I did that. I did my first guest star that way. And basically what that means is you would, if you get the job, then you would have to fly yourself out to that city and, you know, pay for your lodging and things like that. So that's not an expense on the project. So.
Or drive. You can also drive there.
I've had a couple of friends in LA who did that, who moved. They were working in Georgia so much that I think they moved to Florida because just to be closer, because they were going to Georgia so often.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in Atlanta, I'm sure, even now, even more so now, I think. So.
And Manny, what were you going to say?
Whenever people ask, like, oh, should I move to LA or should I move to New York or what have you, I'm always for that. First of all, I'm always for that. But I say maybe you can consider, like you were saying, Denise, you know, Albuquerque's up the street. I mean, just get into that market first, you know, be a bigger fish in a smaller pond kind of thing, right? And also, if you're willing to do the sacrifice, I mean, if you're not, because it's sacrifice, like you were touching on it. How many times, Denise and Jessica, have you make plans, right? And then, oh, I'm sorry, I got an audition tomorrow. Oh, you can't really make plans. You can make them, but people have to understand that they might be broken at the last second kind of thing. So, but when it comes to moving, go to a different market. Try Austin first, try Albuquerque, try even, like you said, Atlanta, Louisiana. But
that's right. Yeah, New Orleans is great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Before maybe going out to LA or what have you, though. Although I'm all for going to LA. I mean, even though I haven't done it for family reasons, but yeah, I'm all for people doing it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So go ahead, Robert. Go ahead.
No, Carlos. If you got it, I was going to do something, but I kind of like to wait till the end, actually. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, the other kind of going back to just your acting. I'm actually curious. The other thing too with this industry is that some of you I know have theater backgrounds. So I was actually curious as to how important is it to have both a theater background and also film and television, or do you feel one helped you with the other? I know some people are just exclusively film and television. I know some are just exclusively theater, but I'm actually curious, you know, transition wise, how do you balance being both in theater and in film and television? Manny, why don't you go? Because I know you've been in plenty of plays.
Well, yeah, my first love is theater. I did start in theater, and I think it's a great way to just learn the process, because as opposed to, let's say, film, where when you show up, you pretty much have to have this character developed. Most of the work is on your own. You're lucky maybe to have some rehearsals prior, though, but I mean, for the most part, most of the work is on your own, as opposed to with theater. 4 to 6 week rehearsal every day from a set time. So you have to do the work. You can't be a lazy actor unless you want to, be the weak link or whatever, right? You can't be it's harder to be a lazy actor than if, let's say, if you're doing film or TV or what have you, though. I think it's a great training ground. It is different than film acting, though, but it forces you to put in the work, and that's the part that the work, I think, is that what scares people from. They think acting is just, hey, let me go and I'm gonna be famous and become an actor and blah blah blah. But it's work. You have to do work. Mm-hmm.
Jessica, how about you?
I did my first professional play 2 years ago, and I grew up doing theater, and then wanted to be a film and television actress. So I came to LA. And then 2 years ago, it just came around that my film and television agents, sent me out on this audition for a play. And Jason Alexander from Seinfeld was directing it. And it had this great cast attached to it. these great theater and television actors, Francis Fisher and Bruce Davison. And I was like, wow, I'm going to audition for this. Got the part, and it was one of the most challenging experiences of my life. It was 2 months of my life, and I completely disappeared from any semblance of normal life. It was incredibly challenging, and I'd been doing television before that, and I'd never experienced anything like it. It was a month of rehearsals, and it was maybe the most fulfilling job I've ever had in my career. And, you know, to be totally honest, you make very little money doing theater. So it's hard to do that professionally. But God, it was so rewarding, and I've got to do it again. And it was that instant gratification of going on every night. And I have not felt that nervous. that opening night when you hear the audience and you're going to go on stage and you're backstage and this light turns on, which means go out on the set. And it was only 4 of us in the play, memorizing all of that again, that much material. Oh my God. I mean, I'm getting all the butterflies right now just thinking about it. It was the most reward. It was like doing theater when I was a little girl, and what made me fall in love with this. So film and television is great. It's great. But for me, there has been nothing like that feeling of show, of putting on a show, a live show, and hearing the audience laugh. And it was a comedy, obviously, Jason Alexander, hearing the audience laugh and rehearsing and the work of it. And, oh, I can't wait to do another play again. It was just so wonderful.
Yeah, and if I can just add on top of that, I'm actually curious because when you guys are in doing plays, I feel like, and if it's going on for like 2 weeks or however long the play is out for, I kind of feel like you also, I'm sure the performance is a little different every night, but I'm sure also your audiences are different versus where TV and film, you're just kind of, you're just in front of the cast and crew. There's no real audience. And sometimes I feel actors and actresses play off their audience sometimes. So can you talk about how that was? And especially with a comedy, I kind of feel like timing changes every time, every night.
Yeah, that's it. That's an interesting question. It just reminded me of this one moment in the play. It was called Native Gardens, and I had one line that I knew was going to kill every night. It was like my one line that I knew was like, here comes my big laugh. And I just knew it was all about the timing. And during rehearsals and during the previews, which are the first shows you do before the big opening night where press comes and all the red carpet happens, you have previews. And I was messing it up. I would say my line was, I'm from New Mexico. My character was from New Mexico. Shout out.
Shout out to the
and so my line, it was a lot about Mexicans. And anyway, my line is, I'm from New Mexico, as opposed to Mexico, because Francis Fisher thinks I'm from Mexico. And I was saying it and it just wasn't really getting a laugh. And the writer says to me, you need to take a longer beat and go, I'm from New Mexico. And so I was like, okay, I mean, it seems so simple. And yet the next night I try it, roaring laughter. And I was like, oh God, what a gift she gave me. So then every night after that, it was, we did, I don't know how many performances. It was a lot, 6 days a week, sometimes 2 shows a day. So every night I would go out there and as soon as my line was coming, and I would just be like, here she comes, here she comes. And I would go, oh no, I'm from New Mexico. Wow, it's so simple. I have no idea why that line was so funny, but I would milk the shit out of it. And just like when it's coming up, I would take even a little extra time. It was delicious. And it worked every time. It was about the timing. I don't know why. I didn't think that line was that funny, but boy, did I that line was the biggest gift.
That's amazing.
That's great to hear. Yeah. And Denise, how about you for film and theater?
Well, I love doing theater. I was trying to think of a metaphor just now. It's like acting for camera is sprinting, whereas theater is running the marathon. It's where the rubber meets the road. It's the real deal. It's the actual thing. It's what it's supposed to be. It's the ancient practice of performance in front of an audience. And yeah, like I definitely when I've done theater, first, yeah, like Manny said, and Jessica, like it's so hard. It's so hard to show up for rehearsal every day, and it's just so much to remember, and you have to do it. It's all one take, right? It's not, you don't get another take. Like you have to get it mostly right. Um, and the performances, at least for me, change every night according to who's in the audience, and I feel like the energy the audience gives you, right? I can't explain it. I can't explain what it is, but yeah, I definitely feel that theater is an actor's medium, whereas film and television is a director's medium or an editor's medium. It's just a different thing, and I definitely recommend it. I think everyone should have that experience if you really want to fall in love with acting, if you really want to learn how to swim. I think you have to dive into theater and read the great plays and just get educated on that. Um, it's just there's just so much to learn from that experience.
No, that's awesome to hear. And so, Robert, you were gonna do a segment, correct? Or were you gonna
Yes,
ask a
well, I
question? Yeah.
will. I mean, listen, we spoke to Jessica about some of the people that she's worked with. I know that people are curious. We have a message here from Salvador asking Manny about working. What was it like on the Breaking Bad set? And then Denise, of course, I want to talk to you about working with Omar Rodriguez Lopez, the director of Amalia, who most people would know as Mars Volta, an incredibly talented musician at the drive-in, but also a really interesting filmmaker in his own right. So, Denise, we'll start with you. Just talk to me about that experience working with him as a director and on that project. And then, Manny, maybe we can fill us in a little bit about what it was like on the Breaking Bad set. Denise.
Um, it was, I mean, it was an incredible experience. Working with him. Um, I grew up listening to the Mars Volta and at the drive-in, so it was quite a dream to get to work with him. It was really just weird and unexpected, and but no, yeah, I think Omar is um, he's a cinephile. He loves cinema. He surrounds himself with people with talented people, and he takes his craft very seriously. And it was incredible. It was life changing, I think. And I really feel like the film uh, took a lot out of me, and it asked a lot from me, and Omar gave me a lot of room to explore and to discover and to sort of get to a deeper truth, even though sometimes I didn't really know what I was doing, but I feel like he trusted me, and he gave me a lot of room to bring my own artistry and creativity onto set, which I really appreciated. Sometimes you work with directors that know exactly what they want, and they give you very specific direction. I feel like Omar was very respectful of my space and really just worked hard to make sure I had the space and the environment to work and to feel free and to feel safe, because a lot of the scenes that we shot in Amalia were very intense and violent, and it was difficult for me because, again, being a psychological astronaut, I had to really, at least for me, I really had to be there. I had to go there, and it was very challenging. And so in that sense, in that sense, I really love and appreciate that about him, that he allowed that space to be sacred and to be creative.
Wonderful. Excellent. Well, it's evident in the film. And again, suggest that everyone check it out while the festival is going on. So check it out, Amalia. Manny, just fill us in on the Breaking Bad set. There is, a lot of talk about how collaborative that set was and what an interesting place it was at the time. So give me a sense of that.
I do want to clarify that I didn't work on Breaking Bad. I worked on Better Call Saul. I did.
Sorry.
No. But it's kind of the same set. It's a lot of the same cast and crew. So I kind of did work on that set, if that makes sense. It was a lot of the same people. But you can tell right away they have it down. It does have a family atmosphere for sure. You can tell they get around each other a lot, and it's a fine-tuned machine. It is, but there's a looseness on it. There's a looseness on it that they just. There's a reason why, in my opinion, it's been so popular, is because when you're there, there's room to play, and that's when some of the best moments happen. As opposed to, let's say, there's other directors that do great work, knowing what they want and being very specific in what they want, and it's great, wonderful. But as y'all know, Denise and Jessica, some of the best moments happen when you're allowed to play a little bit. And I definitely got that sense being on that set. Family and just room to play. Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Odenkirk, such a legendary comedic figure. I can't imagine what he would translate to just in the set, and just his energy being there. It would probably contribute to what you're talking about.
And my scene was with him. I wish it had been comedy, but it was drama. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. But what an interesting guy, though, right? What an interesting energy to have him doing drama when you know of his background, which one of the funniest people on earth, really.
For sure.
Well, Manny, actually, when you were with Bob Odenkirk, sure, it was a drama when the cameras were on, but off camera, were you guys always just, laughing and messing around? Or because you mentioned it is like a family set, so.
I was thinking that as soon as you had said that, Robert, that afterwards just his jokes, and in between it's he's hilarious, for sure.
Very cool, very cool. So we're coming to the end of our panel for today, but I just want to ask one final question. And if you have another one too, feel free. Mine was just going to be, any last thoughts that you want to give to anyone listening out there, or any actors that are, either thinking about wanting to still pursue their dream to be an actor, or just, again, with these tough times. I'm sure a lot of people, even like myself, we've all been questioning, do we continue doing what we're doing, or do we move on to something else? Who wants to start? I know that's a tough question.
I don't think anyone on this panel should consider doing anything else. They're all so amazing. So let's hope no one's considering that.
I think if you're an artist, you can't do anything else. If you're really a true artist, like you can't. You'll die. It's, for me, like, this isn't a career. This is a lifestyle. You just have to figure out how to arrange your life so that you can do these things and be creative, and just work that way. And if success comes, fine. If it doesn't, or what do you consider success? Like, I feel successful. I mean, is it being famous? Is it having millions of dollars? Like, what is it really? I think it's about being in alignment and having, and just being creative, and knowing that you're doing the thing, and you're you have food and a roof over your head, and that's it. And the only advice I would give to if I was going to talk to myself, to the kids in El Paso, hey, kiddos, just educate yourself, watch great films, Cassavetes, Scorsese, Fellini, get educated on what great cinema is, and read plays, and there's just so much to learn. There's a lot of great work that so much of the stuff that we watch now is based on or inspired by. But what are those, great works? I would just, I think it's so much fun to explore that.
That is such a beautiful answer, Denise. When you said what is success? I think that's exactly the thing to think about, because if it is just being on TV, well, then that happens, and then what? It's not fulfilling. What is going to fulfill you? What is success going to be? Because that is if not, it's a constant struggle, and which I have not been able to overcome yet, which is like, what's the next thing? This hunger. And if it's just to live an artistic life and have a roof over, what is it? Because this pursuit can be empty unless you find your own answer to what success can be. So I really like what you said, rather than to go for a certain credit or a certain, I guess those things won't fulfill you, and then they're over. So what is it really going to be?
Yeah, it's just going to be you at the end. Yeah. So
I'm gonna piggyback onto that, the success thing. I know that years ago, once I decided to define my own success, that I had way more peace of mind, because you hear it all the time, right? Like, oh, when you're famous, oh, when you're this, when you're that. And it's like people want things for you that you might not necessarily want for yourself. And yeah, defining your own success is so big. Like, shoot, my mama thinks I made it. I'm good, like my mama, she's proud. I mean, I'm good.
Right.
yeah. I mean, I had a small role in this Budweiser commercial a long time ago, this Super Bowl commercial, and my whole family, like as far as they were concerned, I was rich and famous, and I had made it, and that was it. That was done. I was on screen for 2 seconds, and the whole world saw it, so that was it. Like that was, But yeah, you can't like you guys were saying, you can't live your life for other people or what they're expecting from you. And I know it seems very glamorous and stuff. We go back home and for Manny, being an El Paso celebrity, like in El Paso, I'm sure like that has its own thing, but like you just have to find what's meaningful for you in your life, and if you come into this thinking that you want to be famous and be on TV or book these big films, and if that's what you're after, then you'll very soon find out, that's not how it works, because that's an empty, that as far as I'm concerned, that's an empty pursuit, because then what? You're comparing yourself to everyone else. Like what happens once you reach that benchmark? Are you still fulfilled? Is it what meaning is there for you? So
very much. Oh, please, Manny.
I was just gonna say, it's an interesting time now in 2020. It's like everyone can be famous, really. I mean, you can make a cool TikTok video and suddenly you've got millions of followers. Like fame is kind of like it's a little cheaper now. It's
totally. And I was gonna say that, I love what you said about that Budweiser commercial. Like I've never felt more successful than that when I had like 3 lines on my first TV show, Greek. I was like, I made it. And then now the bigger roles that I get, it's just a constant higher pursuit. And what I wanted to say about the fame thing is I've gotten the privilege to work with some pretty famous people, and that fame is the bane of their existence. No famous person loves the fame unless that's all that their pursuit was. Anyone that we respect, when I've been Jason Alexander, for example, when we had to walk to lunch or something, he's just praying to God no one recognizes him and that he can just go to get some food with us. That it'll be I mean, you can get fame from, this is a terrible thing I'm about to say, murdering somebody. That can't be the pursuit, or you're making a huge mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Manny,
go ahead.
Manny, you don't plan on murdering anybody, do you, Manny?
Not anytime soon. No.
Okay. It's one of those times when my mom says "calladita más bonita," like just be quiet, Jessica. Stop.
Well, I don't know, Manny. Did you actually murder someone in Neighbor of the Year? I still have not figured that out yet.
Well, you got to watch and find out. Watch it multiple times. Manny, I didn't mean to interrupt. You had a final thought, Manny. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna talk that I don't want to be one of those name droppers though, but it's part of the story. I worked with Benicio del Toro back on what's that movie that they did in
Traffic.
Yeah.
Pre-Oscar, right? Mm-hmm. And I worked with them 2 years ago. And I always thought, if I bump into him again, I'm gonna just ask him like, how was it winning that Oscar? Because I remember we had lunch on Traffic and just real humble, cool cat, right?
Absolutely.
And I remember like, what changed after like the Oscar? Like what changed? And he's like, you know what? It's the same grind. He's like, it's the same grind, just different. I just receive more scripts and they're not always good, but yeah, it's the same grind, he said, pretty much. And just the fact that he had that hunger and like you were saying, just you reach something and then, okay, well, what's next? Just what's next? I've realized that, and because I mentor and teach as well, acting, and I get two types of students, those that want to be famous and then those that they have to act. It's like this passion, they have to do it. And yeah, acting is one of those things that you just have to do it. You just won't be, you can't, when people ask me, should I become an actor? I'm like, well, if you can find something and be reasonably happy doing something else, like go down that road. It's you kind of have to be a little crazy. You have to be, it's a wild passion to pursue for sure, but it's so rewarding. My goodness. And I'm not even talking financial, I'm talking rewarding, just, yeah.
I can't think of a better way to end an acting panel than with that closing thought. What do you think, Carlos?
I thought it was perfect. Unless you had any other questions to add or anything else, Robert, I'd say that's a great one.
Yeah, I say we end it on that note. Got to be a little crazy. You got to have it in your heart, and it has to be something you want to do inside of you.
Yeah. So I want to thank you guys again for tuning into the El Paso actor panel. Thank you, Robert, for being my co-host yesterday and today. You've been amazing. And Manny, Jessica, Denise, thank you so much for joining us for this. And I'm really hoping that next year, 2021, things have calmed down, things have gotten better. We're all vaccinated, and I'm really hoping to do this panel in person so that I can bring you guys back to El Paso and talk about how things are going to move forward. Because I know there's a huge backlog of things that need to get filmed, whether it be film, TV, and everything. So I'm pretty sure all three of you are going to be constantly working once everything gets back to normal. So, but again, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in. This is our final panel for the El Paso Film Festival for 2020. I hope you enjoyed your time with us. And yeah, I'm hoping to see everyone hopefully next year. So for now, though, enjoy the rest of our festival on our Roku, Apple, and Fire TV apps. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. If you do need to go outside, don't forget to vote. So just letting everyone know. And
wear your mask.
And wear your mask. Wear your mask, wash your hands. So many things, because yes. But thank you everyone so much for tuning in, and please enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you so much.
Bye.